Thank you for tuning in to TalkWad.com, the world's fastest growing internet radio network. Please check out all the other great shows on www.talkwad.com.
Today I don't feel like doing anything. I just wanna lay in my bed. Don't feel like picking up my phone, so leave a message at the tone. 'Cause today I swear I'm not doing anything.
Gentle loving hugs, and thanks for turning in to the Fibro Friends radio show here on healthinforadio.com, part of the Entertainment Global Media Network, broadcasting out of heavenly Clearwater, Florida. If you feel like doing nothing at all today, then just sit back or lie down. We're here to educate you with a full spectrum of information on fibro, advocate on the behalf of all fibro friends for fibro awareness and the need for more research, and support each other with laughter and love. New to fibro? Wonder what it is? Fibromyalgia is a complex chronic disorder involving a malfunction in how the brain processes pain, which leads to other multiple dysfunctions in the body. Some of the main symptoms of fibro are pain and fatigue, sleep disorder, memory and concentration, depression, digestive disorders, hypersensitivity. So today, you've tuned into Fibro Friends. So please welcome your host, Laura Rosa.
Hi, and welcome to another show of Fibro Friends. Tonight I have with me Rebecca Bailey, and she is a nursing student. Want to say hi, Rebecca?
Hi.
She is here to discuss fibromyalgia from the standpoint of a nursing student, what she's learning about it, and we were privileged to have her and another student sit in on our support group meeting yesterday. It's part of their educational training and to help them get a more hands-on approach of understanding our disorder. So I think we should have a lot of fun tonight. Educating each other, and if anybody wants to call in and add some information, the call-in number is 813-235-0644. Well, welcome, Rebecca. It's
Thank
good
you.
to see you again.
Nice to see you.
So I understand, as we left off yesterday, that you're going through a nursing program. What is your goal or specialty that you plan to do with your degree?
The good thing about nursing is your options are really wide open. But for me, what got me into the program is I want to be a labor and delivery nurse.
Oh, that's wonderful. My mother was but she was a nurse, and she
Really?
she did that, and then at the end she went into hospice, so she was kind of
Oh,
like,
wow, that's nice.
Yeah, both ends of the spectrum, and that's really important. Now, the one reason that I find it's really important to have people like you on as guest speakers is that every medical provider that I go see, and I'm sure this is the same with most people suffering with fibromyalgia, they'll say, well, that's not my specialty. But the problem with our disorder is it affects every part of our body. And I know a lot of us have had some hospitalizations. And regardless what our doctors have written up for pain or what, we respond differently to most other average patients, to anesthesia, to drawing blood, to the way we respond to pain medications. So people in the medical community who do not understand fibromyalgia at any level, even my gynecologist, she has to understand that my body's not going to respond the way other people's are. So we're so excited to have people that are going through any kind of medical program to allow us to give you our insight into what it's like. Now, we can have babies, and actually I had mine before I had fibromyalgia, and I've been told that our symptoms diminish during pregnancy, and they generally return afterwards. But I don't know. I've not met anyone who has had a child with fibro, how it would affect labor and delivery specifically.
Right.
But I assume that you're having to learn all different facets of the medicine.
Yes. In fact, we haven't even gotten to that point yet.
That's
of
your
labor and delivery, right?
Okay, all right.
Right now, we're in what's called, I guess, Adult 1, where we're learning about adult illnesses, and fibromyalgia is a small part of that, but they're cramming everything into this semester.
And believe it or not, fibromyalgia, although it's seen as an adult disorder, can strike anybody at any age.
I didn't realize that.
Yes, and actually my daughter was diagnosed when she was 14.
Okay.
Now, is it hereditary? Is it predisposed? Is it stress? You know, there's a lot of opinions out there, and I would say it's a combination of all three. But she has not really great genes. Her dad had 2 autoimmune disorders as a child, and then after I had my accident, I've fallen apart. So, you know, she's really going to have some struggling unless she eats and lives a perfect lifestyle to struggle with these disorders. But, and that's one thing that I've been trying to educate people in our group. Check your children. If they're complaining of growing pains, they're saying, in the research that I've read, that a lot of growing pains aren't necessarily, that's not a true diagnosis anymore. And that might be a sign of fibromyalgia. They have a little bit different symptoms than an adult would. So so you're learning about adult disorders right now. Okay. And I'm so happy that they're including fibromyalgia in there. 10 years ago, most of the medical community didn't accept it as a disorder. We finally got a diagnostic code.
That's great.
Yes, we were really moving along. We know there's 3 ways to definitively diagnose it, although they don't do it on regular people. They just generally do it by the symptoms. But it can be through either an MRI or they can do a spinal tap with the spinal fluid. And the 3rd way is gone for the moment.
That's okay.
But it so, and now even we all who have severe fibromyalgia try, you know, to go for the I am in a fog tonight. The disability. Okay, so it took me 4.5 years to go through the system. Now that we've kind of learned, people are getting through first time now, so it's really speeding up now that they're acknowledging that it's real. So, so I'm really happy to hear that it's put in your books and and it's being accepted. So, before you came to our group, what did you know about this disorder?
I have a handful of friends that have fibromyalgia. One, she seems to be having a really hard time with it. She also has lupus.
Yeah, that's common.
She's been in like this lupus flare, and then everything else acts up as well.
Right. Does she have systemic lupus, or does she?
I believe it's systemic.
So it affects all of her organs and whatnot. Okay.
But so I see her struggle. I see other friends with either autoimmune, fibromyalgia. It kind of, correct me if I'm wrong, it kind of works together. Like if you have one, you're more likely to have fibromyalgia.
That's true. Or vice versa.
Or vice versa.
And although fibromyalgia is not an autoimmune disorder,
correct,
it tends to follow along with other autoimmune disorders. Weirdly as that is, I don't know why.
They're kind of associated somehow.
Yes, very much so.
Okay.
The lupus is very common.
Does the fibromyalgia also flare up like lupus would, or is it a daily thing? Day in, day out? Is it sometimes worse than others?
Yes, no, and yes.
All of it.
It's everybody's individual. You know, that's where I have to question when they do a group study and they have their control group and then they get their fibro group. No single person is identical to another fibromyalgia patient. So I always have to say, how are you getting your control group with fibromyalgia? Because each basket is different of all of our disorders. We get what are called secondary illnesses because of the frontline ones are going out of whack, which is causing other ones, and the longer we have it, the possibilities of more challenging disorders come up, unless we get with a really awesome doctor who knows what's going on and can prevent that by doing, you know, hormones replacement, or there's a lot of things that can be done.
Okay.
So yeah, it's some people kind of just stay in a flare and go, a functional flare. Other people will have times where they feel pretty good and then they're in bed for a week. But I would say all of us probably have one or two issues going on at least all the time.
All the time.
Yeah.
Okay. How long does it usually take? I guess it's probably better now, but how long would it take typically to get a diagnosis from you start getting
Good.
symptoms? How long does it take you to even be aware that you have a problem you need to go see a doctor?
That's a good question.
I mean, that's a kind of a hard question.
It is, and you listen to some of the people in our group who have had it for over 20 years. It took them, some of them, 10 years to get diagnosed back then. One member had it since the 1970s, but she didn't get a true diagnosis, and I think that has to be the most frustrating thing to go through, not knowing why you have all these symptoms, and as you explain it to a physician, if you don't have a good rapport or a trusting relationship because you've been well and you don't see them very often, they tend to send you to see a psychiatrist, because they think this is stress acting out, and in a way they're all right. It is stress, but it is causing our bodies to malfunction in the autonomic nervous system is really where it starts to misfire, and it gets turned into the on position all the time, which makes sleeping another situation. And of course, anybody who goes a few nights without sleep, you can imagine how fatigued you feel. So we have that on top of the pain, which can be like if right now, if I was to go see a neurologist and they did a nerve conduction study, it would show that I have neuropathy. Now, there was a time where I felt the numbness and the tingling, and it was normal. So it's through the progression of time that it's kind of showing up. So it's totally frustrating for a patient to keep getting normal results. They say, I'm glad I don't have this or that, but what the heck is going on? So, but honestly, I was very fortunate. I was a car crash person. I ended up with about 7 surgeries, so I knew my pain was caused from the actual accident. But before I started having fibromyalgia symptoms, for me, I had a severe sleep disorder. It's getting a little bit more familiar. It's called post-traumatic severe hypersomnia. Excuse me, which means that when I go down and I go to sleep, and I think I've had 7 sleep studies, I have never shown on recording that I have any REM sleep. So I go through phase 1 and 2 all night. So I don't get into the restorative phase where my brain can actually start to replenish and do that. So I wake up, and I could say 95% of us wake up where if there was a fire in the house, I could not get out of bed. Physically, I feel like somebody used the term rigor mortis.
Goodness.
I see my medicine that I set up the night before, and I just have to get my hand to it, and then it takes me about an hour to be able to get it, and then my brain, and then I can answer the phone. And I'm at my best in the late afternoon, early evenings, because I guess all my medication is up and going, and I'm more cognitively. So that's why I do the show this time at night, not in the morning.
Makes sense.
And for some reason, I stay up to 3 or 4 a.m. and I don't know why. It seems to be an unconscious thing, but I've started to guess that if I go to sleep, I just have to wake up and go through it all again. So,
Yeah.
but it's that's just my personal opinion on that issue. So there's so many facets that go to it, and I'm going to use my son for instance right now. He's 22 years old. And, he graduated high school, 4th in his class, very, very bright, not, slammed the SAT, And he got accepted to any Florida State college with a full scholarship and a $10,000 kicker. And something changed in him, he couldn't get up and go to class, and he dropped out after the first semester, which he lost all that benefit. And he's staying home with me right now, and it does any kind of exertion. He has pain and muscle fatigue. He has a sleep disorder. He has high blood pressure. His vitamin D is at 6. He is total. Every time the doctor, he goes back, they're finding more things that go right alongside of it. And I keep saying, I'm not going to give you that label. I just can't. Let's keep digging. But I see him, and I think it's breaks my heart to see. We have a few gals in our group in their 20s, and I think I was lucky. I got married, I had my children, and I was able to do a lot of things in life. And when you get struck so young, it really takes away your ability to do most of the dreams that you had set up for yourself. And so there's a whole emotional component. And then, like I said, the people who know you the best, your family and friends, see this change in you. They know you can do better, and they expect you to do better. And they tend to fade away because they're kind of sick and tired of you being sick and tired. So that's where the support group has really come in to be a very helpful tool for a lot of people in the group.
That's good.
Yeah. Keep going.
Do you know of any other community resources like the support group that people with fibromyalgia can turn to?
They're mostly on the internet. There's a lot of doctors out there claiming to, come here and we'll make you well. And people spend tons of money because it's not covered by insurance. And, the thing is, they are getting one component of it, but until you take all components at the same time and do them together, are you going to be able to start into recovery? And this is just information that's come to me just recently from the gentleman that was on last week who wrote the book. And everything he said is very logical. And I had a follow-up appointment with my regular physician, and she's just top-notch. And she'd already read it. And I said, so the jury's out. What is your opinion? She said, that's an excellent book. And then, I've been pondering it since then, going, why isn't she just setting us all down? Because so many of our support group people go there now because she truly does understand the disorder. Her name is Gail Sadler, for those of you who are in the Tampa Bay area. And I think it's because she has to know when you're ready. She won't give you more than you're willing to do. But some people don't realize there's an option. And the number one thing, if you have fibromyalgia and you are sick and tired of being sick and tired, is you have to get the stressors out of your life. And one gal says, so what, I divorced my husband? And that's a personal judgment call. But if that relationship is causing you that much stress, that it's triggering your body to be in so much pain, you either need to get some marriage counseling or have separate quarters, but you've got to get that stressor out of your life to even begin to heal. And then you have to add in a specialized diet that works with healing, and you have to have sleep hygiene. You're supposed to be in bed by 9:30 to kind of go back in the caveman days where, we slept during the dark hours and we were up during the light. And exercising is another key component, but it's a little bit different for us. We might be going up 5 stairs a day to start, and that would be enough.
That was one of my questions. I had read that exercise helps, but then
Yes,
I said, if you're in pain to where you can hardly move, how are you going to exercise, and how frustrating that must be?
I will say what right now, based on, for my particular condition, and it's works for almost anybody, fibromyalgia or rheumatoid arthritis, is water aerobics.
Oh, good.
It does not put the strain on the muscles and the joints, And believe it or not, it's not that easy.
No, it's
you
not.
get a lot of resistance with the water, and if it's more than you can handle, you can take a couple steps out of it and do it at your own pace. So the goal is to find where you can do it and not have it put you in bed for 3 days, and start doing a little more often, and keep increasing that to get the flexibility back that we've lost, and the muscle tone back that we've lost. But for instance, I'm like, my blood work, my testosterone came back down like at a 4, and I'm like, well, what does that mean to me? And she says, well, first of all, you can't build muscle without testosterone. So there's no point in going weightlifting, because it's not going to do you any good till we get the testosterone back up. So she's trying to help me battle it from a chemistry point of view. And it's up to me to do the lifestyle changes.
Okay. Good.
Yeah.
My mind just went blank.
That's okay. You do not have fibromyalgia.
Nope, I don't.
I do not like to give that label out to anybody.
What was I going to ask?
That's just a natural.
If someone feels like they have these symptoms, what would be their best bet as far as going to a doctor? What kind of doctor?
Well, that's a very good question, Rebecca. This was explained to me by a very good doctor. These days, people are expected to go see a rheumatologist. Rheumatology generally works with muscles and tissue, I believe, and joints, right. But now that they've understood it to be a neurological disorder, it's eventually going to be moving into the neurologist. I've asked, we're at a big university here, and I was seeing one neurologist for some testing, and I said, do you have any neurologists that are focused on fibromyalgia? And he said there's one, and I went to visit her. I kind of wanted to see what her protocol was, although I felt like I had all the doctors I needed. And she went through the checklist, and she does what every other doctor does. They put you on one of the 3 fibromyalgia medications, which is Lyrica, Cymbalta, or Savella. So that got checked off. We discussed diet and exercise. We discussed pain management. I have a pain management doctor. So she went through all the avenues, and I was pretty much covered. And so the only thing she prescribed me with was a muscle relaxer.
Okay.
And I tried it, and I didn't think it made enough difference to add another medication. But I would say yes, that would be a good person to go to. But the story behind the story is that very few people in the medical profession choose rheumatology as their place of medicine. So when fibromyalgia came out, they started getting lots of patients, and they don't want to lose that, because that's really built their business. Now, anybody out there that's a rheumatologist, take it for what it's worth here. So they're really trying to hold on to the fibromyalgia patients, but being that it is truly neurological, I don't think that's the best place for us. And everybody in our group will tell you which rheumatologists they're going to. We know the good, the bad, and the ugly. And some people do well with what another patient won't do. A lot of it has to do with personality.
Sure.
But when I know more than they do, I politely thank them for their time after it's over. I've learned how to be a good patient. I know what not to say, and but I know what to say to make sure I get my needs met.
Sure. Speaking of being a patient, that reminds me of another question I had. If you were a patient at the hospital, where perhaps I might be practicing not in the labor and delivery sense, but just on a regular surgical floor, medical floor,
or the ER,
or the ER,
any of that, right?
What would be, as a person with fibromyalgia, what you would tell me as how to manage your care?
Thank you for asking that question. It's my goal that one day, then when we're admitted to a hospital, that they give us a purple wristband because you get a red wristband if you have any allergies. Because the first thing we need for a bed is we need an air mattress. So we now can help each other. We have one of our members of the group, if anybody's having any medical procedure, be there for them, to speak for them if they're during anesthesia. And to double check that the protocol for their pain management, if it's a surgery, is being given in the way that the doctor has set it up. What has happened in the past is the pharmaceutical doctor on call or the anesthesiologist will look at it and say, that is way too much. They don't understand that this patient may have already been on maybe Vicodin, Percocet, methadone, and they need something higher to break through the pain. We had one gal go in for a 3-day procedure. Actually, it was an overnight procedure. It was an abdominal, some repair, a lot of things had slipped. And I went and stayed with her the first night, and she has a god-awful pain. We were calling everybody because they wouldn't give her the medicine that he had written up. It ended up she was discharged 21 days later because we have someone calling on the line. Let me put the story on hold, but there wasn't complication. We have a caller on the line. Who are we speaking with?
This is Celeste Cohen.
Well, hi, Celeste. How are you this evening?
I'm good. How are you?
I am great. Thanks for calling in. So what kind of question do you have on your mind or opinion to share? What can we do for you?
Well, I did have some questions, and I wanted to know in regards to the last show where you had Dan, and I'm not sure if it's Newfer or...
Knifer.
Yes. Okay, that sounds better.
Okay.
If what the latter part of the book was about, or it sounded sort of like it was in 2 parts to me.
Okay.
And I know you read it, and I know you feel very strongly in agreement with what he said.
I do.
So I was curious. I could to find out what the latter part of the book was because I went to try to get it on my Nook.
Okay.
And through Amazon, it appeared to me that you could only get it on the what's the other one? Not the Nook.
Kindle.
The Kindle.
Right.
So I could not load it on my Nook, or at least I did not have the technological capabilities to figure it out.
Okay.
So I was curious to know what you thought about the last part of the book and what your feelings about that were.
I thought they were excellent, and now he does have a reason for saying to read the book from front to back so that you get all the understanding and understand what's going on in your body, so that when he shows you how to recover, why you're doing it this way. So I'm going to cheat for you a little bit and give you just a snapshot of the recovery phase. And
okay.
The couple things before I tell you what they are is everybody's different. The shorter time you've had it, usually the quicker you'll get through the recovery phase. Also, what he proposes for you to do is not for the rest of your life. It's until you are recovered. And at that point, you can start back putting in some of the things, you can start going back to your original normal lifestyle when you are fully recovered. Now, there's some people who may think they're recovered and they'll go into remission, but he's talking about following this program, you can recover. And he has a lot of testimonials that people have done it as well as himself. And the first thing, the number one thing is, you make a list of all the things in your life that are stressful, okay? And you've got to look at that list and figure out how you can clean that up. At whatever, you got to say, I'm fighting for my life, okay? Because I can think of a particular member in our group who does everything perfectly, but her stress is worse than most people that I know. And that finally clicked for me after reading his book why she wasn't getting any better. So you do your inventory of your stressors. That's one problem. Okay, or one set that you have to work through, and you have to come up with a solution. And it might be even taking on meditation just to calm down. If it's, so they say you're in a bad marriage and you're not in a position to file for divorce, well, then maybe you take time out of the day to meditate and just calm yourself down, because your brain may be getting all crazy all day. Now, he has a pretty rigorously strict diet. And again, this is only through the recovery phase. And there's reasons that he only wants you to eat certain foods and not others, because some of the foods are going to be triggers that will throw you back into a bad area. So it's like, I know one I recall was no white potatoes, and no alcohol. And he does give a list of good foods and how you can do it and still feel full and all that. Exercise, he talks about that is a very important key, but again, it's going to be exercise for a person with fibro. Don't overdo it till you throw yourself into a flare. It's got to be at your pace and as much as you can handle, as often as you can handle it without going overboard. The next part is good sleep. You need to go to sleep by 9:30 every night, so you're getting more with your circadian rhythm. And he wants you to have a snack at 8 o'clock, and it's supposed to be kind of a complex carb with protein snack at 8 o'clock. Then there's supplements that he feels that are essential to take during your recovery. I know he talks about magnesium and let's see, the bigger ones. I'm trying to remember. I can make a list for that and do it, but this is cheating, and it's not going through the way he's put it out there. He talks about things that, like for going to, let's say it's 9:30, you go to bed. He's listed a lot of items you can try that will help you fall asleep, like valerian, lavender, lemon balm, hops, or I don't know. I can't read all my handwriting. He also feels it's important that you do keep a social life or find a hobby. Find something that brings you pleasure. And to have some downtime where there's no television and you just have some quiet time where there's, taking yourself out of the world. And mostly to have an optimistic attitude. He said you get a partner who will cheer you on, who's there to, be with you and support you through this. And, that when you feel like it's more than you can take on, that they'll rally you back up and get your psyche back into it, and to treat yourself very gently. And he says, and once you'll know when you're recovered. Your energy's up, you wake up in the morning, you're not stiff. He said, don't start looking for it. Just let it go. Because, some people just can't believe that there's really a way out, and they want to, just keep reinforcing that it's gone. But he says, you just let it go. Just, take it away and just move on with your life. But don't go get a job as an air traffic controller. Go back to what you do, and you've done in the past that you enjoy working. You just don't want to put a high-stress job back in your life. You can have nights where you don't get a lot of sleep and you party a lot, and you'll be fine. But if you do that for several months, yeah, you're gonna fall back into fibromyalgia, because that's probably what got somebody there in the first place. So I think I covered all the areas that he has you do: the food, the sleep, the exercise, and the stress. And you do them together. You do them with a doctor, who can help you with the supplements, monitor your blood work. He was just talking about leaky gut. And if you do all these things, that your body has a need to be in a homeostasis state, a place of health. It's always fighting to go there. So your hormones will start getting back into normal range, even if you're not taking them. If you just kind of just baby yourself. After we got off the air, we chatted some more, and I think some of that stuff was actually really better than some of the stuff we talked about. And his analogy was, have you ever seen a dog that had been abused? And I said yes. And making the long story short, he said you have to treat yourself like the way you would treat that dog that was abused. Does that make sense? I can go through it and say, you don't run up on it and scare it, it's going to run and hide, because our body right now is always in the on position in our autonomic nervous system in the fight or flight. And it's pretty hard to sleep when that's going on. And our temperament's different, and, depression is, a huge key. How does that sound to you, Celeste?
Well, that sounds, touching on most of the subjects that I have read about in a lot of the books that I have read on fibro. Although now as far as diet, I have recently changed my diet.
Okay.
And to a more plant-based diet, which is very, very different for me and my family.
Okay, it sounds
my family and I don't know however you say it.
One thing he said is no wheat at all.
Those kind of things have just are a lost cause for me anymore. But I used to be so good at grammar and spelling.
Oh, don't worry about it. But
yeah,
did you hear what I said?
But
one
anyway,
thing is
so, as far as nutrition, I've read a lot about that, kind of researched that, seen a lot of movies about it.
Yes.
So I have gathered a lot of information on that as far as, the body not getting proper nutrition.
Right.
So,
and leaky gut and all that going on.
Right.
So if you do all this together, not just one portion, you have to do it all together. That's the key.
Yeah, well, definitely the hardest part would be the stress.
Yep, it is.
Because even when I feel like I'm not being stressed, I think I am. So I don't know. I probably could toss that around in my brain over and over.
There are
and not
lots
quite
of programs
know
out there.
What end was up?
Yes.
But
deep breathing is just a quickie, to release your stress.
Right. So, but I really have changed a lot of what I'm doing as far as eating, salads and better foods for you, better foods for your gut, for your, colon. I don't know how else to say that.
That's great.
But it's important.
Did you hear that one thing he was mandatory was no wheat at all? In any grains and wheat, none of that.
I haven't had really any grains. I do have some wheat flour I bought, but I haven't used it yet.
Good. I just want to make sure.
But I haven't really had any of those kind of carbohydrate, non-nutritional kind of stuff that we all love and most of us have grown up with.
Absolutely. Now you can go back to them later.
It's in everything. When you go to a plant-based diet, which means your vegetables and your fruits and your nuts and seeds, you start taking out a whole lot of what you ate. And dairy.
I just remembered one other part that I forgot to mention. The detoxing, our homes, our laundry, all these pesticides. We've got to move to all natural products for our body and our home, because there's so many toxins out there that are chemically getting into our body, and we have to detox our body as well. And we have to eliminate that from our life as well too. That's 5 things.
Oh, wow.
If you can imagine.
I know, and I've thought about that before, but my big, there's some products that I just feel like I couldn't do without.
Now,
I
I will
don't know.
say that I've been looking around some of these, online or some of these natural stores. They have, like I buy my shampoo at GNC. It's all natural, and it's $6 a bottle. That's not too bad, but there's nothing in there. Nail polish, 85% of them are toxic. Things I wasn't thinking about. Anything you put on your skin, which is our largest organ, is going to absorb it. So our
Right.
lotions is,
Right.
and then you got to talk about your household cleaners. I lived in a house with mold for 15
Well,
years.
shame on you.
I didn't
Should
know
have gotten
about
the
it.
heck out of there.
I didn't know
Um,
till the end.
but all the products that I use, deodorant. Now I've tried some of the natural deodorants.
Uh-huh.
I haven't tried them all, but I've tried some of them, and that is just one area where I don't know if I could compromise on that.
Is it the
know what I
deodorant or
mean?
the antiperspirant, or is it both? Because you got, it's hard to find.
Well, I want all of it.
Yes, I do too. We'll all
But
have
I
to
mean, that's
experiment
just
and come
one area,
up with one. Right.
But I could go to, a more natural lotion, and I've often thought about that. And I've often thought, in fact, my sister and I have talked about, like if you scrub the tub with Comet,
Uh-huh.
is that does
Yep.
that absorb your skin,
Go ahead, Rebecca. You can answer these.
Oh, anything will absorb through your skin. I would suggest wear gloves or use something more natural. Oh, and a mask.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep.
But I was also,
and I don't know who that is.
That's Rebecca. I have my guest today as guest speaker is Rebecca. She's a nursing student that I met yesterday at our group meeting.
Oh, okay.
Yes, she is here as our guest tonight, and we're kind of conversing back and forth about her perspective and what she's learned about fibromyalgia versus where we are, trying to see if we can educate each other and come to a middle ground, and that she can take some things back into her community and I can take some back to mine.
Oh, well, I apologize for asking you such a loaded question.
Well, that's a great question.
When I called
it was a
in,
good question.
because I wanted to call from the last show and hadn't turned on the computer and knew that I didn't want to be right by the show anyway, so I did not know
It's
that you
okay.
had
I guess
Rebecca on.
that's fine, because she's learning more about fibromyalgia, and we've kind of just stepped into a new realm of possibility here. And until some months pass by and some people choose to try out this new way of living, and what I keep asking myself is every time, do I want to do this thing that's not in the program, is I'm fighting for my life. Do I want my world back? Do I want to be the mom I used to be? Is it worth it? And the answer is no. I want my life back, and I'm willing to do anything and everything it takes to get that back. I want to be a normal person, And
Yeah.
I've got a lot, because I've had it so long and I have so many secondary disorders going on now. It's going to take a while, and I'm okay with that. And I have to be patient and loving and gentle, and I'm not taking on any more stress. It's just not what I'm able to do right now. So I think we all need to be a little bit selfish, so to speak, but that's in everybody's best interest, because when we get to the other side, we have so much more to offer then. And,
Right.
But you got to
Well,
buy
that
into
is
it.
a great attitude.
And that is the key to this program, according to Dan Neiffer. Attitude. It is. If you do go to his website, which is www.cfsunraveled.com, he's got some other lectures he's done where he's kind of explained the book. It's about a 30-minute YouTube right on his link. He also has another book for $2.99 that's like supports this book, and it's more about getting into a relaxed state and living your life from a place of calm and acceptance and not letting your little things get you upset, kind of thing. So there's a ton of information on his website. that you can get if you're not able to do the book. And if you do really want the book, just download the free Kindle for PC, and then you can download the book. If even, it's a free. So if you want to really read it and get the nuts and bolts of everything that he wants you to do, that's going to be your best way.
Okay, but can you do that with the Nook?
I'm just saying, since it didn't work, I would just download the free Kindle that they offer. You start by going to his website, and he'll give you the link to the Kindle. And then when you try to buy the book, first it told me I can't buy it because it couldn't find a reader. Click here. I did. I uploaded it, and then I bought the book. Yeah, it was great. And then I typed in my search engine, I put narrator, and now I turned on my narrator from Microsoft, and it reads the book to me. So
that's so cool.
Yeah, I can take it with wherever I go in my car, because I love to listen to books on tape, and just let my computer play. And so I can be listening to it all the time. And, that's how I was able to get through it so quickly. So,
that's cool.
Yeah. Well, thank you for calling in. And we don't have much time left, so I'm going to wrap it up with Rebecca here. It's great hearing from you, Celeste. And I appreciate that. It really was a fantastic question, because people who watched last week, I think we ended up getting close to 100 hits so far on last week's show. Probably wanted to know that. What is the bottom line on this? And that's really, I jumped ahead of, what he said not to do. You go from A to B to Z all the way to Z and read the book front to back. He doesn't even give you an index so that you can understand it. But if you'll accept that the science is there and there's a reason for it, it'll work. And like I said, my doctor read the book, and she 100% supports everything he says in that book. And I was really excited. And I was really shocked because it's only been out in the United States since, I think, December, January. So, and his reviews people have read it are very, very good.
Okay, I'm going to have to do that.
Please do, and get back with us and let me know what you think. All right?
Okay, Laura, thanks.
Thanks. Have a great night.
Okay, you too.
Thanks. Bye-bye. Thank you, Rebecca. It's a little long talk there. So, in finishing up, where you had, a lot of questions that you were...
I've asked quite a few. I've been able to, and some of it's come out just naturally in the conversation.
Okay.
So that's great. I'm excited that there are natural things that you can do, because even though I'm going into a medical field, I believe pharmacology has a huge place in that.
Absolutely.
But I also believe that our diets and our lifestyles do make us sick a lot of the time.
It doesn't work, yes.
So, even myself, I've been I'm having these stomach problems. What am I going to do? I've got to start eating better.
That's correct.
So, it's great that people are making that more of an awareness.
It is.
And that could hopefully help a lot of people feel better.
Anybody who followed this program would feel tremendously better just by cleaning out their body where it could work at a much higher function. Mm-hmm. Medicine has a huge place in our lives.
Right, absolutely. And
even when my daughter was in the hospital, they actually had somebody come in and do some biofeedback with her at Tampa General.
Great.
And some relaxation techniques and closing her eyes, and, they kind of were helping her learn to meditate in her hospital bed. So the integrative medicine and the general medicine is really starting to mesh a lot more. Chiropractic care is now being covered. If we could get massage therapy in there, that would be really great. So I'm looking at our boss out there. And how much time do we have, sir? Okay. Yeah, I don't lip read, do you? You just read the red do this with a red flag when you're ready to cut us off. So, let's see if anything specifically you want to finish up with. Any questions your friends may be struggling with that that we could do, because the emotional component is huge.
Right. And I will say that last night or yesterday afternoon at the support group, it was very nice. Oh. It was nice to hear how much the support group helps and how much you guys have become a family and
Yes, we have.
support and lean on each other.
Yes, it's
Because
a
in
wonderful
anything,
group.
in any condition, in any just life in general, you have to have that.
They have
So-
become my dearest friends in my family, and they know me better than anyone because it's a safe place to go. And I just say that to anybody with any disorder, reaching for a support group. People in our group say that somebody pushed them there, and they are so grateful, you know. So it's nice to be in a room where you're understood, because the rest of the world just doesn't get it right now. They're going to get it. Another 10 or 15 years, I think, will be kind of mainstay.
Definitely.
And hopefully our society can kind of get the fact that we're doing this to ourselves with all our unnatural ways and our stress. Everybody has too much stress, pretty much. We have to be like we're 9 months old and just be in the moment and know that mommy's going to take care of us and just have no worries. I love watching little babies. That's just pure innocence. And if we could get back to living life with that kind of an attitude and love your neighbor and just as a community support each other, it's going to make a huge impact on our health. And depression is just rampant. Just so I think we're on the right track. We just got to pass it on, I guess.
All right.
Thanks so much for being our guest
Thank you.
tonight. And you're welcome back anytime to share what you've got going on. And that's going to be a wrap for another night here with Fibro Friends. I thank you for tuning in, and I hope you tune in next week. Thanks so much. Good night.
Can strike any person at any age. If you feel that you may be suffering from fibromyalgia, please contact your medical provider as soon as possible for proper diagnosis and a treatment plan that works for you. We are not a replacement for professional medical advice, but we are your Fibro friends for advocacy and education and support. We encourage you to share via email, Facebook, or Twitter through a link from any of our shows that can be found on our website at fibrofriendsradioshow.com and on Facebook at Fibro Friends Radio Show, with your doctors, support system of friends and family, and your fellow Fibro friends. Remember, laughter is still the best medicine, so share the Fibro funny today and keep a smile on your face and in your heart. So pass this Fibro Friends smiling, gentle hug full of love to someone in pain today, because it's always the love that heals.
The West Central coast of Florida has an amazing music scene. Festivals, clubs, special performances, and there's always a lot of live music. The problem has always been getting the word out about events. Then GoTonight.com emerged on the scene. The brainstorm creation of founder Don McKeon, a Sarasota entrepreneur. We caught up with Don and his inspirational friend, Frank Papa, at the Flying Dog Cafe.
This is Frank. I'm Don. Frank is the reason that there is a GoTonight.com. He would call me repeatedly.
Where are we going? Where do you want to go? Where will we go tonight?
The website has been a boon to many small clubs. So next time you find yourself asking, where will we go tonight? You've got the answer. The West Central coast.
Thank you for tuning in to TalkWad.com, the world's fastest growing internet radio network. Please check out all the other great shows on www.talkwad.com.